Hey, welcome back for another review from Loudthumbs. I am Nick, bringing you a review on High on Life. Just finished this game up here recently. Wanted to talk about it. It is a first-person shooter, some platforming, comedy. It is a video game that's going to make you laugh, at least a little. Maybe not hit on all jokes, but it is, it's a subjective sort of thing. Whether or not you enjoy it or not is up to you and your tastes. But if you enjoy video games and first-person shooters, this is up your alley. And we're going to get into it here, talk about it, and just kind of go over my thoughts and see what you guys think as well. So the Earth is being harvested as humans are found to be the best drug in the universe for the alien antagonists. You play as a loner video gamer who gets wrapped up in the battle to save Earth when an alien ship lands in their front yard, leaving behind a talking alien gun that helps you along your journey. So that kind of starts the whole concept of the game. All the weapons in the game do talk, and we'll talk about that here as we continue. I want to talk about the graphics as well. Lots of color in this game. Tons and tons of color. It's a very bright, very colorful design. And I think that does a lot for this game, honestly. It's one of those games that, more games that were kind of aimed towards kids. So they do lean into that, obviously. In this game, with the look of the game, they're really trying to get the people who are familiar with Rick and Morty and Solar Opposites and everything Justin Roiland has done. Very cartoony. And I think this is the closest you can go to cartoony, but still keeping it kind of realistic with like the humans involved and everything like that. But it's actually a very good looking game. I do have to say I enjoy it just to look at, and it plays well and it looks well. There's tons of different aliens in the game as well, different designs. Some of them you do get repetitive. I think that kind of goes with the territory in a lot of FPS. You're not going to get a new one everywhere, but they're consistently changing at least, so you're not stuck dealing with the exact same thing over and over and over. So it doesn't get too repetitive, but you will see repetition as far as they go. But they're fun designs. They're kind of silly. Some of them are disgusting. Some of them are just a giant eyeball as a head. And, they're fun to do some of the animations and the deaths that you can do with them as well. It's could be quite funny. Textures in the game, they all look really good. I mean, they're cartoony, so everything's kind of flat. The environments look the best, in my opinion. They're all full of foliage, and they just look good. The trees and everything just look pretty good in a lot of the maps. Have a lot of that going on. Interiors look great as well. They're very, I guess alienized, if that's a word, but everything looks different, and you can tell, that it's supposed to be in like these alien areas, but at the same time, it all looks familiar for us as the gamer too. So it's not too outlandish where you can't really tell that something's a terminal, it's a computer, that kind of thing. But it feels home enough, but outside alien enough to make the game make sense when it needs to, because this game doesn't have to make sense at all. The standouts, though, of this game are the guns themselves. That goes without saying in a first-person shooter, right? So the guns are all unique, completely on their own. They have different voice actors, different abilities. They all have an alt fire. But I want to move on to talk about performance. So my playthrough didn't have any major glitches or any issues that I'd heard about on the internet. There were some issues with jetpacks, causing like a complete loss of save because the game would lock up and just continually repeat after the jetpack was created or given to you as the ability. I didn't have that, thankfully. I really only had like very small little inconveniences. So very solid game, I think. Stable. I think they did, right by the gamers, because this is a full price title. So you got to keep that in mind. I mean, you're paying $60 for this if you're not on Game Pass, and I think it's worth $60, to be honest with you. So just getting that out of the way up front. But gunplay, the battles and everything are great. They're a lot of fun. They're all different. As you unlock more weapons, you get more, platformy sort of abilities. You unlock new dialogue with all of them talking, depending on which gun you have active, will change dialogue. So there's so many abilities, capabilities to go back through and play again and get a different playthrough. And it's going to feel the same, but still be different enough where you're going to enjoy yourself. And I think that's super cool that they went that deep into the dialogue itself on this particular game, which a lot of games don't do that. Single player, it's one note, it's done, you finished it, that's it. This definitely has a lot of things you can go and see and check out again, and it can be different dialogue or comedy that's coming from whatever gun you have interacting with whatever AI character you're running into. So that is another cool thing about this game. As far as frame rate goes, solid. I never really saw any major stutter or slowdown. All the footage you guys are looking at is my footage that I did stream as we played, but it was great. I'm not a big purveyor in checking frame rate on everything, but you can tell pretty easily when frame rate drops, and I really never had any of those issues. So once again, they put the work in, which was great. Let's talk about audio. So some audio balancing in this game at times, and that's the occasional overlapping of dialogue, but I'm not sure how this game could have solved that issue with the insane amount of sheer dialogue that there is in this game. There's so much of it. You're gonna hear people talking over people. I know that can be kind of grating to people, and it can be very annoying. I am on the edge of that as far as games go, so I did not like it. Stood out for me, but I can't say that it broke anything or destroyed my gameplay or the fun I was having. It was one of those moments where I would just move on, and it was not a deal for me at all. So you will get that though in this game. There's no way to avoid it. Like I said, I have no idea how they could have made it work with the comedy timing that they need to do with the guns and who you're talking to, and you've just walked past a couple characters who are mouthing off to you that are just NPCs. It's gonna happen, but I almost think it's kind of like the charm of the game in a way for the fans, because even though I'm not super familiar with Rick and Morty and Solar Opposites and Justin Roiland's plethora of work, I can see it, like it's in the game, and it matches what I've seen and heard about from the cartoons, and I think it's fine, but I think it can come across as a pretty solid negative to most people that just aren't used to his style or this particular thing happening in video games. But as far as audio goes overall, sound design's great. All of the guns sound unique, different. The voice actors are on point. The comedic timing is so good. I didn't have any audio issues as far as it goes, other than my personal preference for some things, but that's it. And it's pretty great. You can even go in and shut the dialogue off and turn it way down, so you're only getting main things that you need, so you can adjust the chatter. So they thought of it, they didn't completely leave people out that they thought would just want to play the game for story and the silliness and not hear all the rest of the craziness. Now, gameplay we talked about a little bit. I want to kind of dig in a little bit more, but man, is this game just over the top, zany gameplay. Nothing to take too serious in this game, guys. So if you're playing this game and you think you're getting a serious story, yeah, you're wrong. It's just not gonna happen. But with that being said, it's a great shooter with a lot of fun ideas and gameplay mechanics. It does turn into kind of a platformer once you unlock certain weapons and abilities that kind of unlock it in a way for you. And it's a lot of fun. It gradually gets more and more fun, more and more chaotic. You're just going to have those sort of things happen as you play through, which I think is the way to go. You want it to be different and, new and fresh, and just feel like it's a ton of fun to play. And it's not constantly the same, jokes or the same enemies or, the way to kill them, and, the same puzzles and, finding the same loot. It's all kind of spread out really nicely. And they add in certain abilities later on, wall running comes into play, so you get kind of a Titanfall thing going on. You can see little pieces of the gameplay, just taking positive hyped things about other video games and putting them in here, and I think it's great. It's the way to just kind of like just mix everything up and keep it wacky and fourth wall breaking and funny all together. It's fantastic. It's just a lot of fun. Very unique overall. I mean, you get jetpacks in it as well, which is cool. Who doesn't love jetpacks? I mean, come on. And you get multiple different guns, and we're gonna get into those as well. And we're gonna talk about Knifey first, okay? Because Knifey's not a gun. You get him second, and he's kind of your main melee weapon in the game. Now, he could be kind of a crutch during intense encounters, you know, if you want to think of him that way. Which I did use the knife a lot, and you may see that in some of the gameplay that I pull up here and show you guys. But for me, he wasn't so talkative in my playthrough until it was time to do like a final blow to the bosses. He was just kind of a quiet, just in the background, like you never really heard much from him, which I was a little disappointed in that. I'll be honest. Like he probably is one of the funnier characters to me. Because he's just over the top, always wanting to kill and stab things, and I just thought his character was hilarious. But he becomes very enthralled when it comes to being hands-on and killing things. Like you get it from him every time it happens. So it was a really nice thing to get, at least in my gameplay. At the end of boss battles when you use him. Hilarious. I thought it was great. So I wanted more of it, but maybe that was done on purpose. Not 100% sure. I've heard other people say that was totally different. But he's the only weapon in the game that doesn't have any kind of ammo system, though. He's strictly just close range, and that is it. Kenny, though. Okay, so we're going to get onto the guns now. Kenny, he's the main gun you get. He is voiced by Justin Roiland himself. And he's just kind of a standard pistol. He has a grenade launcher as well, which it's called a glob shot. And essentially, it's a grenade launcher. Every gun has kind of an alt fire. This particular one, I mean, he's got the range, so that's kind of cool. And he's used in my gameplay. I used him probably the most because he can get enemies across the way. Other weapons can't. They're just too short form weapons. But the glob shot comes in really handy, which you can upgrade. All of the guns, as I'm talking about them here, all of these things can be upgraded just by using everything you find in the game. And then you can essentially have multiple of the glob shots. You can have higher fire rates, and it's a lot that they've put in this game. I mean, I show them a lot of respect. I was really surprised. So moving on to Sweezy. Sweezy is similar to Halo's Needler. So she even has a little like spike mohawk of needles going up her head. All the guns are very crass and hilarious, by the way. So, and they all have their own dialogue I mentioned. But Sweezy, she fires out like a bunch of projectiles, which build up and then into an explosion. She also has an alt fire, though, that is the ability to stop time in a bubble. You can make the bubble like a little bigger as you continue to upgrade it, and keep the cooldown less and stuff like that as well. But that comes in really handy with like damage, because you can just damage the hell out of something that's in that thing. But also strategically in battle, so you can stop like the ones that are running. Like there's some battles you'll get into that they kind of like move really quickly from one place to another, so you kind of want to catch them in the bubble so that you can take care of them faster. So there's even like more than just the fun part of like using that time slowdown. It comes in very handy strategically when you're playing through the game. It's pretty cool. I like the way that they let you kind of bounce around between guns and use the different abilities and kind of cross them any way you'd like. Next we have Gus. He's our shotgun. He's voiced by JB Smoove. And if you guys aren't familiar with him, go watch Curb Your Enthusiasm or, Google him. He's hilarious. I love that guy. He's fantastic. He's not bad in anything he's in. He's been in the Grand Theft Auto series and everything. So familiar with video games, first off, is where I'm kind of going with him. But Gus is our shotgun. And it's kind of self-explanatory. He shoots out multiple projectiles as well as his alt fire. So they're discs that you can shoot them at enemies, and then after so many kind of ricochets, it'll actually come back to you, and you can R3 and hit it again, and you can do that like 3 more times. You might be able to upgrade that. I don't think I was able to upgrade that in my playthrough. The amount of discs I could, but I don't know about actually hitting it back. And it was a lot of fun. Another kind of like changing it up. Like you're kind of like playing baseball with this disc. and you just tearing up enemies with it. If you get really good at it, it really came in handy. But his gun made platforming available, which I thought was cool. So you can like shoot discs into certain sections of the wall, and then you can kind of get up to higher areas and get through the biomes that they put you through quicker or just differently, which was kind of cool. When you get the jetpack, it kind of became less of a thing. So there is that. So some things are still used, but then this one kind of felt a little less needed once you got the jetpack and the wall running capabilities. But it was cool to use it in the beginning parts of the game where they're kind of teaching you how it works. On to Creature, okay? So he's kind of a crowd control weapon, more or less. He allows you to fire out small kind of creatures, hence his name, and they'll jump on the enemies and kind of chew them and, you know, do damage. But he also has a secondary fire where it will shoot one creature and it will actually take over that particular enemy and just turn them against everyone just for a short time, which is kind of cool. So you do it to the certain ones that might have like a better weapon, and then, you know, you can get through the levels a little quicker because you got them working for you now. Has a solid cooldown, but once again, you can kind of adjust those as you play through, depending on what you want to, you know, level up. Creature, just for me, least favorite of all the guns. It was handy at times, but I barely used it. On to the last guy. Okay, so this one, spoilers on this one, just in case none of you want to know about this last gun. I guess you can kind of skip ahead a couple of minutes. But his name is Let's Do It. Let's Do It. That's how he says it in the game. He's kind of an electric shotgun, and it's very high power, and this weapon is limited to the final mission, and for good reason, because you would use no other gun probably. But Let's Do It. He's a very powerful weapon that deals a type of electric charge to all enemies. Doesn't matter who they are. Some are like vulnerable and invulnerable to other stuff, or pervious. But think of him as kind of like Iron Man's arc reactor in his chest. He's just shooting out like a constant electric charge just right at it, and you just gotta kind of go left or right and like against your chest. But it's just crazy. Like it's just a bunch of electric charge coming out. It's not like one solid beam. And you should be able to see it on some of the gameplay I'll throw up there for everybody. But there's a good considerate amount of cooldown time for this weapon for good reason. He deals so much damage to characters, it's crazy. And it's really fun though. And all he says every time you activate him is, "Let's do it! Let's do it!" It's hilarious. So one of the funniest laughs I got was particularly Let's Do It. I mean, he was really, really good. In conclusion, High on Life is a good, almost great game. The gameplay and the platforming teeter on great, with only a few small issues found during gameplay for me. The boss fights all felt unique and fun to fight, yet at times could be a bit frustrating. But where High on Life shines the most is in the comedy and the zany story you're put right in the middle of. Comedy isn't the easiest thing to put into a video game. It makes it work. Like, it just works in this game. Like, it is funny. Like, even for somebody like me, who has not really watched or paid attention to Rick and Morty or Justin Roiland's background, I found this game funny and a lot of fun at the same time. I will have to admit that this is quite possibly the funniest game I've played in several years. Some other games that come to mind for me were the Psychonauts games. I find them very funny as well. Stuff that Tim Schafer does is funny. It's good and always well done as well. So this is just over the top, zany, funny, and I think it hit really well for a lot of people. While the game is definitely aimed at the younger teenage audience or more adult fans of Rick and Morty or Solar Opposites cartoon, you can absolutely tell it's built with the love of video games at heart. Even with the fourth wall breaking, hilarious jabs it takes at the player holding the controller, it's all done in a good, fun way and always good for a solid laugh out loud moment. And that's it. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed now, it's a great time to do that. The best way to see all new content first is a subscription. So click subscribe, enable all notifications, and of course, thank you for watching this video. I'm Nick. You can follow me on Twitter at Hailfront. Be sure to stay loud until next time. We'll see you right here on Loudthumbs.
Oh, fuck yes! 3 in 1 sitting! Each one more visually better than the last. You know what? I don't see this often, but I'm fully sated right now. I actually need a rest.